welcome to Audio Addiction. We have Bastian with us, and he can say his name and what he does in the band.
What up? My name is Ty, and I play guitar as well as handle the production side of things in Bastian.
Awesome. So my first question, Ty, how did you start out the band? How did you get your members?
Oh, well, buckle up for this one. Basically, the whole inception of the band, it's really it's come kind of full circle. Rev, or Chris Revel, he's the bass player in the band. He started this band a few years back, actually, as kind of a means of a studio/recording project.
Okay.
With him and another guy from his old band. He used to play in a band called Callahan. And then we all kind of just knew each other around the scene from our old bands, and some of which did see some relative success with that. And, you know, the older you get, the harder it gets. Yeah, so he started the band as a recording project, and then he wanted to kind of bring it to life and started piecing together members. And Rev found Jeff and Scott, who's our other guitar player and our drummer, just because they played in a band called Quartered from the area. And they started jamming, and then actually my roommate and one of my best friends and tattoo artist, actually, he auditioned to sing for the band, or to do vocals. And then one day he came home after a tryout or a rehearsal or something. He's like, yeah, start playing this new band, and it's called Bastian. I'm like, oh, I've heard of them, because they'd released some material just as a recording project and stuff. I'm like, oh, man, that's sick. And at the time, my last band had actually kind of just called it quits, and I was like, well, let me know if they need a guitar player. And I was actually really excited at the time, because I'm like, oh, I can just show up and play riffs. I don't have to worry about writing anything or recording anything or doing demos. And yeah, next day I went to their band practice and kind of just joined the band. And then as the more we rehearsed, and I actually ended up started doing a lot of the writing for the band and whatnot. And then things actually just weren't progressing the way we wanted to. More so vocally than anything. We actually ended up giving my roommate the boots from the band. No, we're all great friends still and stuff now, so there's no bad blood or anything there. And then when we were on the hunt for a new vocalist, one of Rev's friends from the area was like, hey, there's this kid out in Alberta, which is the province over from us. And he's young, but he's got some pipes. So what he did was, Dylan, our now singer, he recorded just with, like, you know, a shitty iPhone microphone, and recorded him screaming his face off over one of our demos and sent it over. And then Rev bounced that over to me, and I was just like, yeah, this is the kid. And so we ended up flying him out. And then we went to Rev's little home studio. Both Rev and I have our own little home studios, which works well for the writing aspect and the recording. But yeah, we started tracking him. First line in, we knew this was the guy, and then that's what became Bastian, essentially.
That's cool, and I like how I always, whenever I ask this question, it's always like interesting to me as somebody who does like interviews. It's always kind of cool to see how people come together and, like, you know, from everywhere,
yeah, no kidding,
and then just kind of do something that, you know, everybody collectively enjoys. I think that is such a, like, thing that you can't get, you know, outside of, like, music. I just feel like that is just kind of like one of those just wild things about music that, you know, you all enjoy it so much that you want to continue doing it, and you want to have, you know, do it in that capacity. So that's super cool, man.
Yeah, it's almost like a borderline incestual type thing where we all knew each other around the scene and stuff like. And actually, the funny thing is Rev started doing the original demos for when he wanted to start Bastian. He got the motivation, I should say, from actually me, because the guitar player in my old band had showed him some of the demos we were doing. He's like, wow, you can do that with just like a computer? And so that's when he started doing the original demos. And then, you know, fast forward a few years, and I'm actually in the band with them, and yeah, things are great.
Awesome. So my next question, Ty, what are some favorite venues you guys like to play at or go see shows at?
We've actually only played 3 shows to date.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, we decided to kind of, like I said, we've all been in bands before, and we we wanted to do this thing right more than anything, because like one of the number one mistakes bands tend to make, in my opinion, and and I'm talking about personal experiences, you write a couple songs and then you just jump on the stage, and it's not really the way to go about it. You need to be not only well rehearsed as a band, like you need to be a cohesive unit, but you need to have the songs need to take shape, and it takes a while to build chemistry as a band, obviously, behind the scenes. And we wanted to have a release, something, because there's no real point of playing shows unless you're pushing something, whether it's a release, whether it's a music video, whether it's whatever the case is. And so we decided to shoot a couple music videos, and then get merch and stuff like that so that we can actually make money at shows and whatnot. But as far as favorite venues that we have played, we just did a small run just over on Vancouver Island, and then we played our first hometown show just about last month. We played at the Biltmore Cabaret, which is actually an excellent venue. The sound is great, and it's nice and central for everybody to come out and whatnot. But I think we all kind of have our favorite. Thing is we're kind of like trying to steer clear of Canada a little bit.
I got you.
Yeah, it's a wasteland up here. But I really like playing the Rickshaw Theatre, which is another venue in Vancouver here. Going out east to like Eastern Canada and stuff like that. There's a really cool venue in Toronto called Sneaky D's. I actually don't even know if they're still doing shows. I don't hear a lot about them anymore.
Yeah, they still do shows, ironically enough. I think I've mentioned it to literally every Canadian band, but I actually went up there in August of last year, and I saw the Parallel, which I'm rocking right now.
Sick.
And then the Northern, they did a show at Sneaky D's, and that was cool.
The Northern, right on. I know Adam, the drummer of that band.
Sick.
He used to tour with his old band. He's a great guy.
Yeah, they're a bunch of cool guys, but and the thing is, and not to cut you off at all, but like for like Canada, like I was talking to other Vancouver bands and just Canadian bands in general, and I assume it's just hard just to kind of like travel. Like I was talking to Burden, and they'd travel like 7 or 8 hours to play like a half an hour to 45-minute set. Like
and they're from Prince George too, which is like, even in BC terms, that's up there. That's like
that's a hike,
that's a 10-hour drive north from where we're at. So. No, I can't even imagine or even bands that are over on Vancouver Island where they have to spend $300 on a ferry to even, play their shows and stuff like that. But I guess the crappy thing about Canada, and don't get me wrong, like Canada it's a great country, but, and it's got a cool music scene and stuff like that, but it is definitely tough for bands, especially just at the beginning where they're not really generating an income, because they're driving, if you look at the U.S., especially like West Coast, actually probably just as much East Coast, but you're driving 3, 4, maximum 5 hours venue to venue every night.
Yeah.
Whereas in Canada, it's minimum, I would say 8-hour drives from venue to venue. Sometimes 15-hour drives, like that one from Winnipeg to Toronto. That's a 2-day drive to play. Yeah, like you said, for 30 minutes a night.
And I think that shows in like a lot of the Canadian bands playing. Like I just feel like not to knock U.S. bands, but I just feel like Canadian bands just have that drive about them that they like want to.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because like when you're driving that sort of distance, like it either makes or breaks you. I feel like it's either like, I want to continue doing it and just kind of like kill it, and like I think like people like myself that are kind of like really into it and just kind of delve into the like scene of the music, that makes me respect you that much more, and like makes
absolutely
me be like, okay, let me go out and see you, let me go support you, because that's like, I couldn't even imagine driving like 15 hours to like go play a 30-45 minute set like in the middle of Canada. That's just kind of nuts.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, I on the plus side, I think it does have a tendency to kind of weed out the people that are in it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Whether it's just to, be cool and play in a band or something like that, where that kind of stuff gets old when you're, sleeping out in a van for 3-4 weeks at a time and whatnot. But, and like I said, like we're all old farts and we've been around the block and stuff. So, and the reason we're still doing it is just, for a genuine love of not only the music, but just the lifestyle behind it, as far as the camaraderie of other bands, and being able to get on the stage, whether it's on a tour or even just doing a small string of shows and stuff like that. It's when you're not doing it, there's definitely something missing. And when you are doing it, you're just annoyed about driving so much. So
it's one or the other, I think
absolutely.
I get that bug too whenever I go to shows. Like, I'm like, man, I gotta like write something or something like that. It's always like in the back of my head as I like go to shows. I'm like, man, I want to be in a band, and then like I'll hear stuff about it. I'm like, and then I'll go see a show, and I'll be like, oh man, I want to do it again. So
it all comes full circle. It's definitely worth it if you're smart about it and you're doing it for the right reason.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, like, in terms of your band, like, that you just kind of didn't want to just do it. Like, you were very intelligent about it. You guys thought about it. You're like, okay, we need merch. We need to make sure we have plenty of music out so people understand and know who we are. And, like, that's just, like, the smartest way to go about it, so you're not, like, hating yourself where you're like, okay, we only have 3 songs out, and, like, we have to play,
exactly.
we have to play, like, a 45-minute set, and we don't have enough to fill the slot. So I definitely commend you for that. But getting back to the questions, Ty, speaking about, shows you've seen, what was the last show that you attended that was not you playing?
Ooh, that's a good question, actually. It's been a while. I've been super busy lately. Are we talking like big bands or just like kind of local shows?
It could be a local show. That's totally cool.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'll plug actually some friends of mine. They play in a band called Parting Ways, which is actually comprised of basically when my last band split, I joined Bastian. The rest of them started doing their kind of more poppy, emo-y type stuff, and they're incredible. They played a show at the Red Room in Vancouver just a couple weeks ago with some friends of ours in a band called No Liars. It was an excellent show. Yeah, No Liars. We actually played a couple shows on the island with last month as well. There's BC music's definitely coming back, which is nice to see. There was a really, really long time where it was just kind of nothing's happening too much as far as like. Well, I shouldn't say that. Vancouver music's always been kind of around and stuff, but it's more like the heavier side of things, and not just talking about like metal or metalcore or whatever, but just it's nice to see aggressive music kind of coming back a little bit.
I think it comes in waves, honestly. Like, I can say that about the
No, it totally does.
It's like, you'll have those moments of, like, those really heavy bands, like, and they'll just come up and you're like, man, this is great. And then you'll have, like, more of that, like, sort of emo sort of side stuff, like, pop punk, things of that nature. And then, there's things that come around and come and go, and I definitely dig it. Like, any band that I've literally had from Vancouver, I've dug the hell out of. And I think, like,
cool, man.
I think for me, it's like kind of cool to just kind of talk about your scene, because like I know for myself, like I'll go to Philly or I'll go to like some parts of New Jersey, and I'm like, man, we've got some really good bands. But I'm like, Vancouver is just like every band that I've talked with, I've like really delved into and really enjoyed. So it's
cool, man. That's awesome.
In that respect. But getting into the next question, Ty, probably the most important question you're going to be answering in this interview. What are some of your musical influences?
All right. Well, for me personally, obviously I can't speak for the rest of the guys because we're all kind of have a bit of a shit mix as far as what we grew up listening to, and it's kind of tough to answer because I have different influences for different things around music. Obviously, when I first started playing guitar, when I was like 11, 12, 13 years old, I was all about like that mid-90s, granted I'm old as fuck, but like that mid-90s, Pantera, and like Dimebag Darrell is Still the Beauty. I listened to like a lot of like Zakk Wylde and stuff like that, which that's how I kind of became a decent guitar. Granted, like in this band and stuff like that, and I probably will never play in a band where I'm like just shredding or something like that. But that's kind of what got me into guitar playing was guys like that. And then going back to like I used to listen to like a lot of like Eric Clapton and Led Zeppelin and stuff like that too, which that kind of fueled my ambition to like because like when I was even younger and started just taking an interest in music in general, and I started playing in like the school band. I played trombone, and then finally, like when I started getting a little bit of a mind of my own, I was just like, fuck, I want to play guitar.
Yeah.
And so quit band, picked up a guitar, and never looked back. But if we're looking more towards like things like songwriting, which I consider myself more of a songwriter than I do a guitar player anyways. It's just I handle the majority of the instrumentation behind Bastian, so I basically sit at a computer with a whole bunch of plugins open and just kind of click away and then grab my guitar and just play riffs and stuff like that. But as far as songwriting goes, one of the earlier ones where I was like, wow, metal is freaking, it can be not only this angry, aggressive, chaotic thing, but it can be this well-rounded, almost scenic route from point A to point B. I still listen to like bands like Misery Signals is huge.
Oh, yeah.
For me, like as far as just like the actual songwriting and breaking things down in regards to like time signature changes and stuff like that, where I was just like, wow, this is so cool. It's not just, blast beats and breakdowns and stuff like that. Like it's well thought out, beautiful, instrumentation that, makes a whole. Back in the day, I used to listen to like a lot of August Burns Red and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
One band that actually is still probably my favorite metal band that has been around forever and are still fucking killing it is Norma Jean.
Yeah.
Those guys are incredible. They're got to be like pushing almost 40 now, or late 30s, something like that. But they've never put out anything bad. They go through weird experimental, like, album cycles and stuff like that. But like, it's still like really well-rounded, good music. So that's pretty much, I guess that kind of goes with what I listen to too. But here I got Spotify open. I'll tell you my most recently played. I got End, which is
they're great.
If anybody's sleeping on those guys, don't, because they're fucking crazy. Counterparts too. So anything Brendan Murphy basically. But what else do I got here? Architects is still pretty bumping.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I got into them actually just before Hollow Crown was released, like years ago.
Oh, sick.
Oh yeah, and like I remember they came to Vancouver with another Canadian band at the time. They were called Structures.
Yeah, dude, they're great too.
Yeah, I wish they didn't break up. Actually, my last band's first show was with Structures.
Oh, dude, that's sick.
Yeah, right as they were kind of coming up on the scene and stuff like that. It was a crazy show. But I saw them play with Structures, and for Architects set, there was probably maybe 20 people in the crowd. It was crazy. I'd never seen anything like it. And then obviously to watch them kind of
grow.
They're like an arena band now more than anything. They play these giant, 30,000 people festivals. And actually, Adam Christensen, he used to play in a band called A Textbook Tragedy, which are from Vancouver.
Oh, sick.
He's the guitar player for Structures now, which is pretty crazy. They're great.
Yeah, no, I love all the bands that you mentioned in terms of like bands that you've been jamming, because End is like underrated. I know.
Oh, they're like a super group, man. They got Brendan Murphy on vocals. They got I'm just gonna be butchering their names now because I don't really pay attention to that kind of stuff. But
Structures is on there.
What's his name?
Will Putney.
Anyways, but Will Putney. He's like he's my guy as far as like, because I obviously produce all the music and stuff like that, and 90% of like the reference tracks I use to like mix things, I have like a Will Putney mix right at the top that I'm always like, all right, how do I make my drums sound like his? Even though he uses like a crazy amount of outboard gear, and he's working in a multi-million-dollar studio, and I'm sitting in a little bedroom off the side of me and my wife's bedroom. But it's a super group. And the other guitar player played for Misery Signals for a while too.
Yeah. So, but I do definitely appreciate like kind of like the growth from like classic rock, because I myself like grew up listening to like a lot of classic rock, so I definitely assimilate that, because like I feel like if you ever wanted to get into music, like if you're like our age, like you're like, it's got to be classic rock, that's
I think it's a good place to start too, because I think if you just threw like a band like End or something out at like a 12, 13-year-old, 14-year-old kid, there's what the fuck is even happening right now. So when you start with the old classic bands, whether it's like Zeppelin or Sabbath or something like that, and they can understand the instrumentation, and they can understand there's still chaos and heaviness to it and stuff like that. But then you progress from there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like, yeah, and then then after that, I kind of went into that that like emo scene phase. I mean, I'm still not out of it, but like like My Chemical Romance, like you know, Yellow Card. I can't think, like, I'm on the spot, but like those sorts of bands, like, okay, now I'm like getting into that stuff, and then I got into heavier bands like August Burns Red, Devil Wears Prada, Norma Jeans, were like the first couple bands that, like, Under Oath, another one, like those
Under Oath is huge for me too.
All those bands kind of like got me into it. And like also, like, I speaking on like bands, like kind of like growing up, like just being around the Philly area, like August Burns Red's so close to this area, so like every time they come through, like I always have to see them, because they're always like they're
Hometown
always
heroes.
getting better and better, like every single time that I see them. So it's kind of a treat, and I definitely. Like,
it's funny when you say that though, because I actually remember seeing August Burns Red probably like, I think I was like maybe 15, 16, something like that. Actually, I saw them play with Misery Signals and As I Lay Dying.
Wow.
Fuck As I Lay Dying. And, their music was tight, but their singer's a fucking whack job. Anyways, and I saw August Burns Red. They opened the show, and they played for, the same thing, like maybe 30, 40 people. It was crazy. And I remember seeing them, like, oh man, these guys are going to be great. And fast forward 15 years, and they're playing arenas. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. But my next question, Ty, I think you already spoke about the bands that you'd be listening to, so I'm gonna peel it off to the next question.
Sure thing.
If you guys could pick a song to cover, what song would it be?
Oh man, this is the biggest debate, because we have been trying to find a song to cover, and the thing is we don't. Number one, you got to do it justice.
Correct.
You can't just pick any song and just butcher the shit out of it, right? And that's my biggest pet peeve when I see a band play, is if I'm like, oh, I know this song or something like that, and then they either try to. Some bands can pull it off where they like rework the song and like make it their own and make it their own style and stuff like that, which is great. But most of the time when bands try to do that, they butcher it, and it's just like, you took this beautiful masterpiece and you shit all over it. And number two, you need to find something that you all agree on. And like, there's kind of the saying, too many cooks in the kitchen when it comes to shit like that. So we've been fluttering around. We have covered, just like obviously in our jam space and stuff like that, but People Equals Shit by Slipknot. Oh. That one's a fun one to play. But and this is the thing, because our singer's actually quite a bit younger than the other four of us, so our generational, what was like,
generational gap is like,
there definitely is. Like, obviously our singer's heard of Slipknot and stuff like that, and but he's more like, he's heard all like the big singles and stuff like that, so finding a balance and stuff like that. We've thought about covering a Deftones song.
Ooh, that's cool.
But same thing, because we're obviously, all my favorite Deftones songs were recorded either late 90s, early 2000s and stuff like that. So you have to rework them a little bit to make them, relevant, I should say. Like, if we were to go up and play one of our songs and then followed by a Deftones song, it would just sound like two different bands if we didn't kind of figure out a few things to make it a little more, I guess, give it that oomph. But that's tough. And we've thought about doing like a pop song and turning it into a metal song, but everybody's doing that these days, so it's almost like one of those things where
you don't want to hop on the bandwagon.
Yeah, and it's just like, we're not like a YouTube cover band, even though I wish we were, because bands like that make fucking bank. But oh yeah, unreal. Actually, Andrew Bain is from around the area here.
Oh, sick! Yeah, he's great too.
He's a fucking great dude too. His band Galactic Pegasus actually just released new music video, and it's great. Like, they've come into their own. They I think their first show, actually, they opened up for my last band. This is like 5-6 years ago, and I remember seeing them. I'm like, yeah, these guys got potential, and fast forward 5-6 years, and those guys are going to take over the world. So
that's sick. My next question, Ty, another great question. Favorite food to eat?
Oh, tacos.
Ooh,
that's quick. Yeah, easy answer. Actually, my wife's making me tacos for dinner tonight. I'm fucking pumped. And if you follow me on,
I'll see you in like 8 hours. Yeah.
If you follow me on Instagram, my Instagram name is Ty Likes Tacos. So.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, tacos always will be.
There we go. Next question.
Yeah.
Well, go
what
ahead,
you got? I was just going to tell a really crappy story when I was like...
Tell the crappy story. It's fine.
I think I was 12 years old. Yeah, 12 years old, grade 7. We took I was in French immersion, so we took a field trip over to, like the whole class took a field trip to Quebec. So it's like a nice 6-hour drive. My first time on a plane. And to see me off, my mom made me tacos, and I ate like 13 or something stupid like that. And in front of my entire grade 7 class, I had like the worst gut rot. Like I was just like stinking up the plane, had to go to the bathroom every 5 minutes, shit, and I was like sweating profusely just because I ate too many freaking spicy tacos. And yeah, still have PTSD from that.
That is bad. I will say that's pretty rough. I don't know. I've had one, but I don't know if I want to ever say it in audio addiction history. Maybe if I'm like at a mill, then I'll do something like that. But anyway, next question, Ty. If you could pick somebody to collaborate with, whether it be a guest vocalist or a producer role, who would you choose?
That's a good question, actually. Here's the thing, though. It's like I obviously mix and master all our stuff and stuff like that, and there's a few reasons I do it. One of the more prevalent ones is like I said before, the kind of too many cooks in the kitchen type thing. Yeah. Is where we as a band kind of have a general idea of what we want to sound like and what, and it's not just like how we want the drums to sound, how we want the guitars to sound and stuff like that, but it's like when you throw in another X factor, it can sometimes fuck all that up, and obviously the other reasons are financially it's a lot cheaper if I'm just doing it all myself, and then if you look at like studio turnaround time, where it's like you got to save to go into the studio for a month, and you're in the studio for a month, and you're waiting a month for mixes, then you're waiting another month for masters and all that kind of stuff. So it's just this thing. But if I was to collaborate with somebody, it would probably be, I would love to collaborate with Will Putney, actually. If there's very few producers where I'd be like, yeah, okay, here's our shit, make us sound the way you make bands sound. And it's like Will Putney, Andrew Wade is another fucking great producer. Joey Sturgis he's not really doing anything anymore, but like if you were to ask me this question like 5-6 years ago, I'd have been like, yeah, Sturgis. But he's more doing like the marketing side of things now, which is great. And then, I mean, as far as vocalists are concerned, that's a tough one, just because I don't want to put a vocalist on one of our songs just for like the extra exposure or anything like that. I would want to do it genuinely because I think he'll add something to kind of the scene of the song. And I don't want to do it just for a nostalgia factor or anything like that, just for the sake of like, because my old band did that actually with our first EP release. We had a 5-song EP, and 4 of those songs had guest vocalists on it, and it was just like, and we were young and stupid, and we were just like, yeah, let's get this guy to sing on it, and they were all like hometown dudes too, which were like, successful with what they were doing and stuff like that. But at the same time, I remember I just look at that now, and I'm like, what the fuck was the point of that? It's just like, it all sounded good, but it was like it didn't really add anything other than the fact that it looks like we're just trying to get extra exposure or something like that.
I feel you. There comes a point where, like, there's, like you said, there's too many cooks in the kitchen, and you have too many voices on one song. I feel like the best kind of albums that have guest vocalists are, like, just that totally either, like, 180, like, you would never expect them to be on a track with them. Like, the one thing I can think of off the top of my head was, like, when August Burns Red had, like, Jeremy McKinnon do some, like, clean vocals on, like, the track. And I was like, that's like, totally unexpected, because you would never expect it from ABR, because they're, like, I'm just going to scream all the time, pretty much. And then, like, Jeremy comes in, and you're like, that's cool, because, like, that works, because it's, again, totally different from what they know.
Opposite sides of the spectrum. Or, you ever listen to, when they were around the Tony Danza tap dance extravaganza?
Oh, yes.
Fucking, Danza 4, the last album they put out, there's a song called Alpha Omega, which it has, obviously, the dude from Danza, but it has singer from Despised Icon,
Oh,
and
sick.
then
Okay.
Phil Bozeman from Whitechapel on it. And it's, to this day, like, it's on my gym playlist. Like, whenever that song comes on, I'm like, I can lift like 600 pounds right now. Just because it's, and granted, that's Phil Bozeman on there. So
Yeah, that's
actually, I don't give a fuck what anybody would think. If Phil Bozeman sang on one of our songs, I would be so down.
that would be sick. That would be sick. Whitechapel, man.
Oh yeah, that's another huge band that got me into like the heavier side of things for sure.
Awesome. My next question, Ty, if there's another instrument that you could just shred at, what would it be?
Drums for sure. Well, maybe. Because if you're a drummer, you're always poor because you're buying expensive ass cymbals and shells all the time. But you're always guaranteed a job. That's the thing. Everyone's always looking for a drummer.
That's like
even
a joke, you know.
Even our drummer plays in like 5 different projects. You know, Bastian's more, I think, the one that's kind of, or I should hope at least, you know, top of the totem a little bit. But you know, he's always like, oh, I got a show this weekend with this band, or I got to, you know, he always got a job, especially if you're great.
Yeah,
my last band, our drummer, who's, you know, one of my best friends, his name's Chris, but he ended up having to kind of quit the band about a month before we were supposed to leave for a cross Canada tour, and we were stressing out and stuff like that. We ended up calling this guy, his name's Brent Rogers, and he was, I don't even know if he's still playing drums that much anymore, but he at the time was like the best drummer in Canada. We managed to convince him to drum for us on a tour, and it was like playing drums with a fucking drum machine. It was unreal. Like, he would have done a better job than having backing tracks in or something, in our, you know, and just have the 4 of us. But and he used to do that quite a bit, where someone would throw him a few $100. He would fucking record drums or go touring with them and stuff like that. And yeah, man, that's the life.
That's sick. That's it. And you know, I feel like it's a common thread amongst guitar players that, like, you know, you want to play the drums. I don't know. I can speak for myself and say that it's just like hand-feet coordination. I don't have any of that shit. So
yeah, me neither. Like, I can play drums a little bit, and like I have good music theory. Like I write all the drum parts for the Bastian stuff, and then what we do is we take what I've written in and I bring it to Scotty, our drummer, and he throws his, you know, little jazz on it and stuff like that. But so I have the theory behind it down, but it's just like I smoke. I don't have fucking stamina for that kind of shit. So I can't imagine playing a 30-minute set and
just be like,
you know,
oh,
going nuts on double kick and crazy fills and blast beats and stuff like that, and still trying to look cool while doing it.
Yeah. You're just like, I already have a hard time enough with the guitar. Like, I don't know if I can do drums.
Yeah, no kidding. And like for live, I control our backing track, so I have my laptop on top of my amp and stuff like that. But like, yeah, I can't imagine doing what drums do. Like, I press the space bar and play riffs, and I'm having a hard time up there doing it and looking cool. So
that's, yeah, I know that. But my next question, Ty, my personal favorite question: if you could be a video game character, who would you be?
Oh, good question. Video game character. I'd probably say, I'm trying to think of like RPGs that I've played recently. I'd probably say, you played the most recent Fallout, like Fallout 4?
Yes. Yeah.
That shit would be tight. So like, because you can build your own colonies and shit like that, and it's awesome. But yeah, let's say Fallout, where you just go around killing like giant super mutants and shit like that, and then like building cool stuff in your home base.
That sounds like a cool life to have, you know?
Yeah, it'd be pretty lonely though. Although you can get a dog in the game now, which is pretty sick. Or you could have done that in Fallout 3, but it was harder.
Awesome. My next question, Ty, in your opinion, who puts on a great live show in terms of like bands you've seen live?
Bands I've seen live that put on a great live show. As far as metal is concerned, Bring Me the Horizon was a game changer when I saw them in like 2012, I think it was. Actually, they gave us the idea for what we do with our light show. Because I remember seeing them, I think they had like probably close to 20 Marshall cabs all stacked up and looking cool and shit like that. And you look at them and you think, okay, like none of those are even plugged in. They have a little ISO booth behind the stage like every other band does. But Um, but when they kicked into their set, they were actually lights. So they had hollowed out all the cabs and put lights in them.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, and that's actually what we did with our light show. And this kind of goes back to what I was saying, where we wanted to do everything right. So we built our own light show and stuff like that. And it's not like we don't let the music speak for itself by any means, but humans are kind of visual creatures.
That's true.
So to add that extra stimulation to your live show is huge, right? But we hollowed out 2 PV cabs, and then we had like these rotating heads and stuff like that. And then the original idea actually came from Bring Me the Horizon, which is pretty funny. And then from kind of opposite spectrum as far as metal bands is concerned, because obviously Bring Me the Horizon, that's a huge, 300-man tour package spectacle and stuff like that. But Chariot was a huge game changer for me. I saw them play at a place called Venue in Vancouver a few years back before they'd broken up. But I remember, and I knew they were going to be fucking crazy live, but I didn't think they were going to be that. Actually, they opened up for Under Oath that day too. I couldn't believe, because like Venue is like this nice and proper type venue, where it's like they have like all these cool bars and stuff like that, and it's more of a nightclub than anything that they had just rented out to put on a metal show for the night. But 5 minutes into their set, and their guitar player is literally on the bar kicking over glasses and fucking it was crazy. Yeah, the Chariot always put on a good show and stuff like that. Side note, Fever 333 is looking sick too.
He also has another band that is more heavy, like hardcore, like after the interview I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, fire it over. That's awesome.
It's intense. Like
cool.
If you were looking for like old Let Live, like Black is Beautiful kind of stuff.
Sick, that's my jam.
There you go.
But and if we were talking about like not metal, there's a band called Half Moon Run. They're from Montreal.
Okay.
They're like folky indie type stuff. They're just how good they are at their, not only their instruments, but just as a unit is fucking cool. And their songs are just incredibly well written. But yeah, that's all I can really think of off the top of my head.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Ty. My next question: if you could compile a dream tour, who would be on it?
Ooh. Well, obviously my band.
That goes without saying,
Yeah, just for the sheer, fun of it and getting to tour with your idols. I would like to see Under Oath is back at it again, which is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And they seem to be, now that they've, not to knock on like Christianity or something like that, but they seem to be like enjoying it again now that they're not a Christian band, right? So it's cool to see that kind of stuff. But I would love to see Under Oath, Norma Jean, and I'm trying to think here. Probably the 68.
Ooh.
Or 68. We're actually playing a show with them next month.
Sick.
Yeah, that's going to be cool. Yeah, just because obviously Josh would join Norma Jean for all the old Norma Jean shit, which would be sick to see. Yeah.
That's a sick lineup. I dig that. And, I like how you pick bands that are all kind of, like, relevant. They're still around and they're kicking,
Yeah, you kind of have to. Like, I'm not just going to, like, obviously I'd love to see the Beatles play or something like that. But, like, yeah.
That's without question. I feel like most musicians, whether or not, like, you are a fan of the Beatles, you just be like, I'd want to see the Beatles. Like, I mean, who wouldn't? Like, that's just...
I get into this argument probably, like, I would say once a year, because I'll hear someone start knocking the Beatles. I'm just like, you're an idiot. You owe everything to the Beatles.
I was going to say, like, all of music, all of this modern music, like, even... they kind of are like the godfathers of all this.
Yeah, they shaped music and that's still relevant today. And fucking, they were like the original band to say, okay, fuck everyone, we're gonna start experimenting a little bit, and then they do fucking Sgt. Pepper's and shit, right? Yeah, Beatles are the shit.
You're right. My next question, Ty: favorite TV show, favorite movie?
Favorite TV show. Whew. Like, are we talking all time here, or you just want to know what I'm like kind of watching right now?
We're talking about all time here. We're holding no bars here at Audio Addiction.
I would probably say The Office for
Oh,
TV show.
classic. Yep.
The American one. I couldn't get into the British one for some reason. Which is funny because I actually really like British humor and shit like that. But movie, ooh, that's a tough one. I'd probably say like Donnie Darko is one of them. That movie actually fucked me up. I couldn't sleep for like 2 days after watching it. And granted, I was like 14 years old when I saw it, but like, yeah, that movie really fucked me up. And then, yeah, I'd say those are two decent choices. I'm happy with those. Final answer.
There you go. Next question, Ty. If there was a desert island album, an album that you could only listen to for a month straight, what album would it be?
Define the Great Line by Under Oath.
Ooh, classic choice again.
Oh, yeah.
And lastly, Ty, tell them about your band Bastian, where they can find you at, and anything coming up in the next couple months.
Yeah, we got a show next month on June 2nd. Yeah, it's only a couple weeks away with 68 Vultures and a band called Anchorus, which are another Vancouver band, and they've been around for a while and they're awesome. That one's going to be a good one. We're opening up the show, which I'm actually excited for because that means we can set up things and not worry about changeover. But that's another shitty thing about having a light show and backing tracks. It makes changeover a nightmare. We got it down to an art, but it's still a fucking stress case. But and then you can check us out on Spotify, which is probably everybody's got Spotify now.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure. What do you listen to music on? Do you listen to Spotify or Apple Music?
I am an old fart, and I actually own a Zune, so I just plug that shit into my computer and like put it on my Zune. And
What's a Zune?
It's like, okay, now I'm just gonna sound like a whack job, but it is pretty much the counterpart to an iPod, but Microsoft made it back. Like,
I think okay, I know what you were talking about. That's crazy. Why do you still have that, man? You can stream shit now. Data's cheap. But Spotify is kind of the one our go-to, but obviously we have Apple Music and
correct.
We're on Google Play and all that kind of stuff. But Spotify's the one we focus on. But Facebook and Instagram. If you like seeing funny shit, check out our Instagram because I always just post stupid things on there. And our latest post on Instagram is of our new single 4 years ago, and it starts off with this photo of us as a band that we took before we went to the island. It's just like a group photo, and then we face swapped each other, and Guy Fieri's in it for some reason. I don't know. It's this whole thing. But that's about it. That's all I got.
Well, go check out Bastian for the spiciest content on the internet. Links are in the description. Shoutouts to Liam of Tamahill. Recommended
my boy.
me your band, so definitely shoutouts to him.
Yeah, Liam's a great guy, man. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met in my entire life. So much so that it's annoying. He's annoyingly nice. No, he's a great guy.
No, I would definitely assimilate with you in that he is an incredibly nice individual. So shouts.
Which is so weird because he plays in a metal band, right? So you want him. You think there's this stereotype where metalheads are like this, these higher than life, badass looking dudes, but he's just the sweetest dude. I want him to meet my mom.
Definitely. I also feel like that is definitely a trend because whenever people tell me, they're like, "What do you listen to?" I'm like, "Oh well, let me just play something for you," and it'll just be like, da, 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 and then they're like, "So you listen to that? You're like a super nice guy," and I'm like, "Okay, so I can't that's just that doesn't make any sense. You can be a nice person and listen to metal."
The biggest thing that I hate is when obviously if you can show someone it's better, but if somebody's like, what kind of, or I always get what kind of band do you play in? We play in a metal band. And people either automatically think I play in a band that sounds like Metallica or Slayer. So it's just oh my God, okay. So, and I'll try to explain, you play in a Screamo band. No, it's not Screamo. And so my whole joke is I always fucking, talk about the Screamos where it's just, and I try to explain to people, but it's just gotten to the point where it's I'm not wasting my life on explaining the difference between, metal and Screamo and post-hardcore and metalcore and all that kind of shit.
That's true. Somebody has to have a class to teach, normal, regular people about this stuff.
I got in an argument actually with somebody that told me my band wasn't metalcore, which I'm fine with. Like, I don't really give a shit about the label behind it and stuff like. But I their whole reasoning behind it was we don't have like those metalcore riffs where it's like the that kind of shit and stuff like that. I was just like, all right, man, like, you're the genius. I just pick up a guitar and I play what I think sounds good.
It's either you're just like, you sound like Metallica and Slayer, or you're just like not that, and then you're just like you're not metal enough for everybody else, so like metalcore enough for everybody else. It's just the metalcore elitist. That's how it's just the elitist. That's it's either you just like have no clue what it is, or you're an elitist. There's nothing in between. But getting back to the whole thing, go check out Bastian. Links are in the description. Go subscribe to your YouTube channel at the end of this video. And if you enjoyed this interview, subscribe, like it, share it around. That would be greatly appreciated. And shoutouts to Ty and Bastian for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Of course, if you enjoy what we do, make sure to go check out the other series we do. We do album reviews, we do band interviews, and we do live videos, so definitely go check that out. Hit that subscribe button. It really helps our channel, helps us grow. Make sure to hit that like button as well. Go follow us on social media. That's all down below. We try to keep that as updated as possible. We also made a new website where we'll be posting photos of upcoming concerts and stuff like that, which you can go check out at audioaddictionmedia.com and come get your fix with us, guys. Talk to you later. Deuces.